So there are two very big economic stories to understand right now. The first one being the Netflix, Warner Brothers, Paramount drama. The second one being that the Supreme Court could rule that Trump could fire the head of independent agencies. The reason that these two stories matter together is because Trump could fire the head of the FTC, who is the final arbiter of truth on whether or not this Netflix, Paramount, whoever deal goes through. So Warner Brothers did accept a $72 billion offer from Netflix, and Netflix wants the studios, HBO, and streaming assets, but it does not want the cable networks. Paramount has now responded, and remember, they own a lot of stuff, they're run by the Ellison family, but they've responded with a hostile $108 billion cash bid for the entire company. It's telling shareholders, hey guys, you're gonna get a lot more money, and it gives you more cash. Both deals have massive antitrust issues. Either way, the Federal Trade Commission has to review and approve of this transaction. And Paramount's pretty upset that the government is not immediately giving it to them, which says a lot about the current business environment. There's huge breakup fees involved with this. If Warner walks away from Netflix, it owes Netflix $2.8 billion, and then if Netflix gets blocked by regulators, it owes Warner Brothers $5.8 billion. So Netflix really wants this deal to go through, right? And then the second story is the FTC. The Supreme Court heard arguments about whether President Trump can fire the FTC chair, fire all the chairs of these independent agencies. Right now, the law says the chair can only be fired for specific reasons. A 1935 case, Humphrey's Executor, is the foundation for this independence, but several conservative justices signaled they're ready to overturn it, or at least really narrow it and give the executive branch a lot more power, giving the president direct control over the FTC and potentially dozens of other agencies. So there are a couple things to really take away, I think, from this situation. The first one being that a couple of corporations are soon going to be deciding what people watch. And then that really ends up deciding culture, right? The second thing is how business is conducted in the United States is very much just objectively becoming who can give the nicest, goldest trophy to the president. So this essentially creates a pricing problem, right? So if there's only a few companies competing against each other, they can raise prices because there's no competition to bring those prices down. They don't have anybody to compete against, so they can charge the highest price that they want. And so really more companies spread out is better for the consumer, for the person. A business environment where you have to appeal to a government that operates under very clear rules and regulations is a healthy business environment. One where operationally it becomes about favors is much more difficult to navigate and ends up hurting growth in the long run and only benefiting a few select companies. So yeah, there's a lot tied up into this Netflix, Paramount, Warner Brothers, FTC situation, and it's going to tell us a lot about the direction of the country over the next few years.